Stay away from me. That was the first thing she said, loud, cold, and full of fear. He didn't argue. He didn't even look offended. He just smiled, that quiet, calm smile that somehow made her heart ache. She didn't know it then, but that moment, that small act of kindness, would change her life forever. But life had other plans. It was a sunny afternoon when Isabella first saw him, her new neighbor. A tall man in a simple gray t-shirt, pushing a lawnmower, his little daughter chasing butterflies nearby. He looked so normal. So peaceful, something she hadn't seen in years. She didn't want to be noticed, so she hurried into her house. But as fate would have it, her groceries spilled right on the driveway, apples rolling toward the man's feet. He turned, smiled gently, and walked over and need a hand, he asked, kneeling down to pick up an apple. That's when she snapped. Stay away from me, she shouted. Her voice shook the air between them. The man froze, then slowly placed the apple on the ground beside her. No problem, he said softly. Take care. And just like that, he went back to mowing the lawn, calm, kind, and completely unbothered. Isabella stood there, heart pounding, confused. Most people either ran away from her or tried to get close out of fear or greed, but this man, he just smiled and walked away, like her anger didn't scare him at all. The next day, Isabella saw him again, at the local park. His little girl, maybe 6 years old, was on the swing, giggling. Isabella sat on a bench far away, sunglasses on, pretending to read. She watched as the man pushed his daughter gently, his laughter mixing with hers. For a moment, she forgot who she was. For a moment, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, warmth. Then the little girl fell. It wasn't a big fall, but Isabella's instincts kicked in. She rushed forward, kneeling beside the child. Are you okay, sweetie? She asked, brushing off the dirt. The man ran over, and there it was again, that same calm smile. Thank you, he said sincerely. She's a bit clumsy, like her mom used to be. Isabella froze. Used to be? He nodded, looking down. My wife passed away 2 years ago. Just me and Ellie now. There was a silence, heavy but gentle. For the first time in a long while, Isabella didn't know what to say. She just nodded and quietly walked away. That night, Isabella couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about that man, about his quiet strength. She was used to power that shouted, power that scared, but his power came from kindness. And that was something she didn't understand. Days turned into weeks. She'd see him at the grocery store, holding his daughter's hand. At the park, reading a book. While Ellie played, he always smiled when he saw her, even if she avoided his eyes. Then one evening, everything changed. It was storming, thunder roaring, rain flooding the streets. Isabella sat by her window, watching the lightning crack the sky. Suddenly, a knock echoed at her door. She hesitated, her guards rushing to check. But when they opened it, it was the man, drenched, holding his trembling daughter. I'm sorry to bother you, he said breathlessly, but our power's out and Ellie's scared. Could we just wait inside until it clears up? Isabella's heart raced. Every instinct told her to say no, but when she looked at the little girl's terrified face, something inside her softened. Come in, she whispered. They stepped in, dripping wet. Isabella led them to the fireplace, handing Ellie a towel. The child smiled shyly. Thank you, lady. No one had ever called her lady like that before, with innocence, not fear. As the storm raged, they talked. He told her his name was Jack Rivers. A single dad, former firefighter, now working at a local repair shop. Life hadn't been easy, but he said something that stuck with her. Kindness keeps us human, even when life tries to turn us into something else. Isabella stared at the fire. Kindness is dangerous where I come from, she said quietly. Jack looked at her with that same calm smile. Then maybe you're in the wrong place. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. From that night, something shifted. They started talking more, small conversations that grew deeper. Jack never asked about her past. He never judged her guarded nature. He just listened. He fixed her mailbox when it broke. He brought soup when she caught the flu, and when her father's men came to check on her, Jack simply nodded politely and walked away. No fear in his eyes, that calmness, that quiet bravery. It was everything she never had. One afternoon, Ellie invited Isabella to her school recital. Isabella hesitated, worried about bringing attention. But the little girl's excitement melted her heart. That night, watching Ellie sing You Are My Sunshine on stage, Isabella felt tears roll down her cheeks. For the first time in her life, she wasn't looking over her shoulder. She was just living, but peace doesn't last forever. A week later, her father showed up, angry, loud, and terrifying. I told you to stay away from people, Isabella, he roared. You think you can play house with some nobody? Do you know who you are? Isabella stood frozen. Jack, hearing the commotion from next door, came out. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He just walked up, looked the Mafia boss in the eye, and said, She's more than your name, sir. She's her own person. The men behind her father reached for their guns. Isabella gasped, but her father raised a hand, stopping them. But he studied Jack for a long, tense moment. Then, surprisingly, he said quietly, "You've got courage, son. Not many do." And then he left that night. Isabella cried, not out of fear, but relief. Someone had finally stood up for her, not because of who she was, but because of what she deserved. Jack found her sitting on her porch, tears glistening in the moonlight. He sat beside her, silent for a while, then said softly, "You don't have to be your father's daughter forever. You can choose who you want to be." She looked at him through tears. "And who do you think that is?" He smiled gently. "Someone who knows the value of kindness even if the world forgot to show it to her." From that day on, Isabella changed. She left her father's world behind and started helping others, volunteering at shelters, funding education programs under a new name, and every time someone asked her why she cared so much, she'd say, "Because once, someone cared enough to stay when I told him to stay away." Jack and Isabella never called what they had love right away. It was more than that. It was understanding, healing, and quiet strength. And little Ellie? She grew up with two people who taught her the most powerful lesson in life, that kindness isn't weakness, it's courage in its purest form.